Coming, the Vice President of the Movement for Multiparty Democracy, Honorable Ruben Sambo, the National Secretary of the MMD, the members of the National Executive Committee present, the awardees that are present here with us, the members of the press, those in the diaspora that are joining us in this very moment, fellow countrymen, brothers and sisters, and may I also officially recognize Bishop Mwinga, who is here with us representing the clergy. 30 years ago, this month, a movement for democracy was born. It was a people's movement. After 26 years of a UNIP-led one-party state, Zambians decided in their numbers to change the shape and the culture of Zambian politics. The Movement for Multiparty Democracy, MMD, started as a pressure group in 1990 to fight for the reintroduction of a multi-party system of government. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, then President of the Republic of Zambia, refused to accept this option. But after pressure from the MMD, he relented and called for a referendum, supposedly to enable the Zambian people to decide on the issue. MMD seized the opportunity to mount one of the most effective pro-democracy campaigns ever seen anywhere on the continent of Africa. Before the referendum could be held, Dr. Kaunda called it off and accepted MMD's demand for multi-party elections. The then Article 4 of the Republican Constitution of Zambia was repealed, allowing for the formation of other parties. Dr. Kaunda signed the bill into law on 17th December 1990. This day remains etched on my mental mind because at 9 hours that day, Dr. Kaunda had called for me to meet him at State House. I was a young evangelist of only 30 years of age. I was conducting a gospel crusade in Woodland Stadium when I was summoned to State House. I had no idea what the urgent call was all about until I was ushered into the president's office. It is then that Dr. Kaunda mentioned that he was about to make a huge declaration that afternoon at Mulungushi Hall and needed God's strength and guidance. We held hands and prayed for a prolonged period of time. Little did I know that after that prayer, a new party, the MMD, would be formed officially, and that 22 years later, I would become its fourth president. MMD became a political party on the 21st of December 1990. The Registrar of Societies issued a registration certificate to MMD on the 4th of January 1991. Allow me to make a detour in history and try to make a correction in the narration of our Zambian democratic history by pulling in the story of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. I've told my little personal story because I believe that there's a misrepresentation of history. The decision by Dr. Kaunda to concede to the demands of the Zambian people and repeal the constitution was not just a matter of courage, but a matter of character and leadership. We have celebrated, and today we shall honor those that went ahead of us and fought for the freedoms we currently enjoy. But we have not recognized that without a Dr. Kaunda at State House, we probably would not have had the MMD and later on the democracy we currently enjoy. Therefore, it depends on who tells the history. I've heard stories where they say he was a dictator, a shameless dictator. I beg to differ, together with many Zambians. He demonstrated statesmanship and decided not only to repeal the constitution, to concede to the demands of the Zambian people, but Dr. Kenneth Kaunda cut short his term of office by 2 years in order to allow democracy to prevail. Some of us do not understand the depth of that commitment and character, because some of our friends in the neighborhood are still being led by liberation parties. Today, Zimbabwe is still led by ZANU-PF, the Liberation Party. In Tanzania, that country is still led up to this day by the Liberation Party. Our president did not only, former President Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, although he is not MMD, but he played a critical role in giving us the day we celebrate today. Not only did he cut down his term of office by 2 years, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, in his concession speech on Zambian national television, he made a statement to this effect, that if I have offended in my execution of duty any Zambian, I seek your forgiveness. That is greatness of leadership. And I pray that in the way we write history, we don't leave the integral part of that history. Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, because of the story that we tell today, he is an integral part of the celebration we hold today. Therefore, he also is a champion of democracy in our country. And this party is going to, in 2 weeks' time, personally deliver an award to Dr. Kenneth Kaunda as a champion of democracy and for facilitating that this democracy takes effect. The National Interim Committee, comprising Mr. F.J.T. Chiluba, Mr. Arthur N. Winner, Mr. V.J. Mwanga, Mr. Kelly Waluvita, Mr. Levi Mwanawasa, Mr. Ephraim C. Chibwe, Mr. Andrew Kashita, and Mr. Akashamba Twambikusta decided to call a national convention on 27th and 28th February 1991 to elect a new National Executive Committee in accordance with the party constitution, which was prepared by the Legal Committee and approved by the National Interim Committee. 30 years later, we gather here to honor and to celebrate the many champions of Zambian democracy who have gifted us with the freedoms we currently enjoy. We shall never forget your courage. We shall never forget your resilience and your determination to form the movement for multi-party democracy. As a party, we have chosen to etch your names permanently on the history blocks of our changing nation. We salute the unions, the media, the university and college students, the marketeers, the churches, and the millions of Zambians for setting aside your individual comforts in order to create the movement we now call the MMD. There are those who wish to diminish the significance of these sacrifices. There are those who wish to bury the history and pretend to forget that the MMD represents the very aspirations of most Zambians. The party that represents freedom for all, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of association, and freedom of assembly. These are the godly values our founders suffered for. Today, we shall have the rare privilege of honoring a few of our founding fathers. At 30 years, the MMD stands as a battle-tested organization. It has seen both great days and terrible days. It has seen both good and bad leaders. It has brought both good and bad things. But MMD has been greatly applauded for the great things it has brought and has also equally been punished for the bad things. MMD was rewarded for bringing back multi-party democracy. It has been heralded for bringing a free market economy and a free media that we currently enjoy. MMD dismantled the troubling national debt of $7.5 billion left over by the UNIP government. MMD sustained an average economic growth rate of 6%. MMD liberalized both politics and the economy. But it has also been punished when in 2011 it was accused of corruption. Zambians decided to withdraw their trust in September 2011 and voted the MMD out of power. How do we regain the trust of the Zambian people? It was at this point of weakness that the party started to look for a way to rebuild and to survive. A national convention was called in 2012 to choose new leadership which could bring hope to a dispirited and tired political party. A leadership which could stand toe-to-toe with a new and vengeful ruling PF party, whose priority was to dismantle the former ruling party at that time. The lot fell on the current New Hope leadership, led by myself, whose responsibility is to assure all Zambians that this is a new MMD. We shall take all that was good about MMD and publicly abandon all that which the Zambian people detested about the MMD prior to the 2011 general election. I want to send a word to all our membership across the country, to our membership nationwide. We wish to assure you that your party, having survived one of the most punishing storms, is back on its feet, and it has come back with great determination to recapture its #1 place in Zambian politics. Some feared that the persecution, the assault, and the destabilization that we faced the past 4 years has taken away our chance of us. The work to bring a divided nation together, the work to restore the lost faith in government, the work to rebuild the broken economy, the work to bring back our lost Christian values and restore our nation to the true status of a Christian nation as declared by our founding president, Dr. FJT Chiluba. Under my watch, we shall not disappoint or fail our founding fathers, both those in the grave and those still with us. We shall turn our past battles into victory for all Zambians. This is not the first setback our party has faced in its 30-year-long journey. Shortly after announcing the first cabinet in 1991, some of the original members who felt that they deserved better agitated for the establishment of a new political party which was called the National Party. Many Zambians believed this breakaway or setback would end the MMD journey, but our party membership fought and overcame the temporal setback. In 2001, an agitation by some to give our first president a third term threatened the very existence of the movement for multi-party democracy. The result was a fragmented party which split into 3 ways: the MMD, the FDD, and the Heritage Party. This was considered the last nail in the existence of our party by many. But the national membership rallied together again and put the party out of danger and managed to win the following election under the late Patrick Mwanawasa. In 2014, we had a similar challenge that came to us. Following the death of President Michael Sata, our party's democratic credentials were once again tested. We called on the highest courts of the land. We met in many places at different groups, and in the end, the party was divided into 3. Some supported the ruling Patriotic Front, while a number of our MPs opted to support the UPND. The core membership, as in previous times, again stood firm to defend the existence of the party. Then came a more vicious test in 2016. It was like none other in the past. A convention was simulated and purported to have been held. This one went to the very core of our credentials as a democratic party. It was very confusing, as it easily convinced some unsuspecting members. But with a vow never to disappoint the sacrifices of our founding fathers, we led a determined fight to defend and protect the party. We were thrown in jail, stoned, the secretariat was taken, and we were verbally abused. My guidance to the party was not to use any violence to protect the truth, but rather to test the justice system of our country. During the 3-year legal battle, our opponents made more than 23 applications and appeals in the courts, and we won all the 23, including the final judgment on November 5th, 2019. We wish to pledge to our membership and to the legacy of our founding fathers that with the same determination and the same fight that we have exhibited in the past 4 years, we shall fight to rescue our nation from the dimming light of the current administration. We have done it before and we shall do it again. And before I conclude, I want to give a few messages to a few sectors of our society. A few messages, the first one to the church. From our inception in 1990 as a party, the church has supported our values for freedom and the rule of law. The church was vocal against any injustices they observed during our rule as the Movement for Multiparty Democracy. The church was the moral compass of our nation. Today our nation is lost at sea. Our title of Christian nation has come into question. The country is broke and broken. And witchcraft is now for the first time being mentioned in the corridors of power. The anger of the Lord looms over our nation. Freedom has been taken away from the citizens. But more worrying is the silence of the corporate voice of the church. Our prayer as the New Hope Movement for Multiparty Democracy is that let God arise and his enemies be scattered. We have chosen to partner with the church to bring back Zambia on the road to prosperity and godliness. May the church not become the enablers of evil, but the watchmen on the wall of justice and morality. We pledge to the founding president, Dr. Frederick Titus Chiluba, to uphold the declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation. A message to our women folk. As we approach the 2021 general election, the New Hope MMD has, as of a matter of policy, decided to make our women folk the engine for political and social change. Our 55-member National Executive Committee has finally reached the 50% threshold for women. This is the reflection. This is the reflection which we shall see in the distribution of leadership positions when we form government next year. We are not aware of any party in the nation with similar demographics. We call on all women with a passion to create a better Zambia, to make the New Hope MMD as a party of choice if you wish to stand for any elective office next year. A short message to our youth. Without a courageous cadre of youths, no society can experience real change. Our founding fathers, some of those who are here, like the Akashambatwa Mbikusitalewanikas, were young people. They may be gray hair today, but those were the youth of that moment. Today, our young people remain cheated without a future. Our generation is our selfishness. Our generation in our selfishness has not planned for the future of our young people. With certificates, diplomas and degrees in their hands, they have nowhere to go. As the saying goes, all dressed up with nowhere to go. They remain chained to their parents or other people's homes with no income and worse still with no dignity. While we are living in our future today because of our age, no future is being created for our young people. The PF government continues, and other political parties in the opposition continue to use the youth as bulldozers to clear political paths for a privileged few. They are used to wield pangas to instill fear in the opponents of those in different political parties. Government has continued, together with opposition parties sometimes, to abuse the fortunes which must be preserved for future generations. I wish today, from the depth of my heart, as one of the leaders of our generation, and I want to look straight in the eyes of all our young people across the 10 provinces of our country, I wish to apologize on behalf of my generation to our youth in the nation for consuming your future through unrestrained corruption and selfishness. Forgive us. Forgive us. It appears that those with power to prepare and preserve your future are determined to squander it. They are not willing to give it to you. Our call to you, young people, is that you come and get your future. You must get it by force, as the Bible says. New Hope MMD is leading the way to create an opportunity for any youth who wishes to participate in governance to come and take advantage of the youth policy of our party, which has reserved 50% of all elective positions in next year's election for the youth. To demonstrate our commitment, the party National Executive Committee recently elected the first youth as National Deputy Secretary, Mr. Gregory Mofu, only 30 years old. We shall keep our word. The MMD shall uphold the original dream of our founding fathers in this regard. And finally, a message to persons with disabilities. Multiparty democracy is also a representative form of government. The New Hope MMD is resolved to fully incorporate persons with disabilities into all structures of the party with an affirmative policy. We have encouraged persons with disabilities to aspire for positions at the National Executive Committee level by participating in our forthcoming National Convention. We shall have as many ministers from persons with disabilities as qualify to play those roles. There shall be no discrimination in the coming New Hope administration. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, to all Zambians, let no one rob you of the government that you need by unproven theories that seem to suggest that a former ruling party cannot be voted back into power. Last month, Malawi proved this theory to be impotent when they elected the Malawi Congress Party back in office after being in opposition for 26 years. Zambians and Africans in general are no longer concerned about the name of a political party, but the content and the character of the people who run that particular political organization. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream that my fall," by saying, "I have a dream that Zambians shall not judge true leadership by the name of a political party, but by the morality and integrity of its leaders." Let no one rob you of the leader you need by unproven theories that seem to suggest that a pastor cannot become a president. Again, it has taken Malawi to teach Zambia, a Christian nation, that it is possible. Malawi becomes the first country on the continent to elect a Pentecostal pastor as president, the Reverend Dr. Lazarus Chakwera. The best president is the one elected on merit and not on prejudice. Zambia needs a revamped MMD to come back and renew the dreams and the aspirations of all Zambians. Zambia needs a leadership of morality and integrity to take it beyond 2021. May I now speak to all of our membership across this country, past and present, We invite you to come and celebrate this legacy with us by coming back home, regardless of which political party you have gone to. Some of you, the very color of your blood is actually blue, and you belong to this legacy of the democratization of our great nation. There is nothing that can be done from the outside and speaking into the inside. I will insist as the new leader of this party to fall back on the principles as espoused by our founding fathers. They insisted on discipline in the party. I stand here today as one of those members of MMD who was disciplined by my party. Not only was I disciplined in suspension, I was expelled by the party. I had to do what the Constitution provides for. I had to come back to the leadership of the party and say, I'm sorry for what I did. And by their constitution, our constitution, I was brought back into that party. I remember President Levi Mwanawasa telling me, when I was with him, saying, sir, I'm sorry for what I did. He laughed and he said, Nevers, I sat on that side before when I was talking to the first president, Frederick Chiluba, when I was angry and decided to resign. And I want to tell you that today you were expelled, but you are able to come back and become president of this party, just like I came away from where I'd resigned and became president of this party. In his grave, he prophesies now that Nevers could become a president of a party out of which he was expelled. To all our colleagues that continue to fight the virtues of this party will never bend for an individual. It will always be consistent with the dictates of our Constitution. We invite you to come and participate in the forming of a new government next year. It is your party. Don't be an orphan in any other political party. This is your home, and we are calling you home. May the spirit and courage of our founding fathers carry us to the victory we deserve next year. Happy 30th anniversary to all members of the movement for multi-party democracy, past and present. May God bless our great party, and may God bless the Republic of Zambia. I thank you.